One of my friends, they mend my bag. So who are we? What kind of people are we to be interested in Buddhism and meditation, and what's really our purpose? What's our intention? And because we keep coming back. One way or another, we keep coming back to meditation. I hope students and followers and fellow practitioners, I hope that we know the value and the importance of coming back to meditation, even though life is a kind of meditation. But why do we keep coming back? What are we trying to get out of this? There's no money in it, I can tell you that for sure. Not in the traditional sense. I've got tons of experience with meditation and Buddhism and training with Buddhist masters, but you can't really put any of that on your resume. Because it's not about building something up. We're not building up our ego, building up our platform. We're not building up our ability to control the outside world. That's very different from what the society, supports. Society supports builders, investors, loan sharks. And it doesn't matter how deep you get into this Buddhism, this meditation, it's never really going to be something you can put on your resume. So what are you doing here? Why are you showing up to these sessions, and why do you so-called take refuge in the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha? Well, the most helpful and practical thing that you're doing when you come back to these teachings and this practice in an embodied way, you're really connecting with someone, some place, some time, some situation, some experience that's concerned with awakening, concerned with enlightenment. You're emptying the bag. You're cleaning out your bullshit meter for yourself. Not about other people's bullshit, it's about your own bullshit. It's not about other people's sickness, it's about your sickness. And I'm some kind of enlightenment guy, but see how many jobs will take that as to get you an interview. So we have some kind of test coming up, right? So how to not be, and we always have a test. Life is a test. Every day is a test. Every moment is a test. And you can either pass that, you can either go beyond that test, beyond failure, beyond success, and come home to your center, or you can fail it and lose your heart, lose your presence, lose your kindness, lose your awareness, your mindfulness. And then you make more trouble for yourself. So when there's a practical test in your life, you have Slop has a test coming up. You have to understand, and somebody reached out to me recently because their father is going through death, the dying process. Their father's in hospice. And you and I and we and everyone you don't have to understand it, but you have to accept 100%. You have to accept that whatever you build up, whatever you want to get, whatever you have already, is impermanent. So that means that your nervousness about this test is not a permanent state. It's not your identity. It's not who you are. It's just something that's coming and going in waves. So if you can see that, if you can watch that nervousness and that anxiety without being afraid of it or without believing in that as being your identity, you can see through it. And what can help you see through it is if you put on the sunglasses or the reading glasses, the seeing glasses of the Dharma, or that everything's impermanent. So I am going to try to do my best today. I'm going to try to be as successful as I can be in whatever I find myself getting involved with in today. But there's nothing in that. There's no elements of that story. There's no elements of that situation or that experience that aren't impermanent, that aren't changing. There's nothing solid about it. So we accept, this is a test I have coming up, and I'm going to try to do my best, and that's it. And if I fail, that's okay. And if I pass, that's okay. Because my life is not about what happens to me. My life isn't even about what I do. My life is about my center. And that's where I live, and that's where my home is. That's where my refuge is, in my center. What is the center? Well, it's this. It's the cup of cafe latte. It's the live stream with this guy wearing a Nirvana shirt in Taiwan, this enlightenment guy. It's getting tribal. It's going wild, it's being peaceful, it's making good decisions and it's making bad decisions. And then recognizing where are those decisions coming from? Where is reality coming from? Where is life coming from? Where is everything coming from? It's coming from your center. It's coming from this. It doesn't come from anywhere else. Self-hatred is just kind of a cheap trick. That habit of self-hatred is a habit of passivity. It's a habit of being stuck in an internal religious system about ideas and thoughts that you have about yourself. Stop believing your thoughts. Who you really are isn't based in auditory words inside of your brain that seem to be inside of your brain. That's not who you are. That's not reality. It's not an accurate description of reality. And as well as that, you have to meet your heart. You have to spend a little bit of time to face yourself and breathe with the body and breathe with the mind in a way that's not thought-based, not intellectually based, and experience what it's like to be you. That's not based on thoughts. Experience what it's like to be the you that is not based on thinking and not based on and dependent upon thoughts. Can you do that? Of course you can. And then you say, what do I follow? Stop following. Stop believing. Stop listening. Stop being a follower. Lead your life in terms of returning to and coming from the center. This moment as it is here and now. Those words are vague, those words are platitudes, those words are spiritual nonsense because we haven't spent the time to step back from our constant seeking behavior. Even in seeking, return to your center. Even in having a success, return to your center. Even in having a failure, return to your center. This isn't about thinking about things. Cultivation is not about thinking about things. Working with your mind on a deep level is not about thinking about things at all. Is that so hard to believe? Is that hard to understand? It's not about anything. That's what we're practicing when we return to our center, is that our center is not a thing. Onto. Don't speak. Learn not to speak. Stop thinking that you're funny. Stop thinking that you need to say something or you need to represent yourself or whatever. It's fine to just stop speaking and start listening. Stop speaking, start listening. Because this, what do you call it? Reality is such a bad word for it. This cannot be labeled. This cannot be put into a box. This cannot be encapsulated in a thought or in a word or in a phrase or in a experience. Just like how big of a cup do you need to hold space? How big of a container do you need to contain yourself? Yourself is just space appearing as something. Yourself is just nothing appearing as something while remaining nothing. We're giving meaning to birds' feathers moving in the wind. No wonder that our mind is basically insane. And as people who take up this practice path, you get to learn, you get to realize how insane your mind is. That's your first gift on the path. Your first gift, your first benefit, your first enlightenment that you get to have when you really practice seriously is learning how utterly insane you are, how utterly mentally unstable and deranged and confused and out of reality or out of freedom you are, that you've made yourself to be. Now, who wants to be like that? Nobody actually wants to be like that. But because of all of these nice things that we have, and because of habit energies, and because of the weather, we get worked up into thinking in a certain way, and then we follow that thinking down the path. And we get ourselves into situations that continue that process of thinking. And then we think that that process of thinking is our real identity, or represents trees, or represents the ground. It doesn't. What you think doesn't represent anything. You may think that this, my position as an enlightenment guy, maybe I'll change my YouTube channel name to that, Some Enlightenment Guy. That the purpose of this is for you to believe what I say, or to be guided by what I say. The purpose of this is for you to be, for the way that I speak, to facilitate you to be aware of not something in particular, but deeply, deeply aware, and to not attach to anything. Can you imagine that? Being deeply, deeply aware and not attaching to anything. Not grabbing and holding on to anything. It doesn't matter if it's a physical thing or a mental thing, etc. And what the teachings help us to realize is that even in holding something, we can be not holding that thing. even in experiencing something, we can be not experiencing that thing. Because there's no belief in a permanent identity that does these things or experiences these things. And it's a natural process. It's not a process of control or a process of complexity. The complexity is just teaching you and guiding you how important simplicity is. And simplicity is just teaching you how vividly uncomprehensible reality is, so that your mind can't control it, can't grasp it, can't hold it. You can't be the boss. You don't get to be the boss. And that's why being a monk for 7 years isn't helpful on a resume, because everybody wants to be the boss. Silence is not real silence. Just like not drinking coffee is not as not drinking coffee as just drinking coffee. Do you understand that? It's not real silence. Real silence is within, is heard in the noise. The nature of silence is not separate from, not other than, the nature of the noise. You have to penetrate into this. You have to realize this. Otherwise, you're clinging to silence as another thing, as another object of purity or goodness or importance. Real mental health is beyond judgments about mental health. Real mental health is a calamity to the idea of mental things, whether they're good or bad, etc. Ultimately, what the end result of the path is that you learn to be a good person. You learn to be a good human being and an engaged good human being. Deep in thoughts is deep in stupidity. Allow no appearances at all. In blue, see not blue. In good, see not good. In bad, see not bad. See nothingness in everything. Everything that you see is pointing to nothing at all. And this is where our compassion comes in. Our wish not for things to be a certain way, but our wish for the ending of things needing to be a certain way. That's real freedom. Not needing things to be a certain way, in the feeling of needing for things to be a certain way. That's where your practice is. That's what the practice is. Why does the shop open at 11 instead of 8? Why did the weather move the trees in that way? Why am I breathing? Why are you looking at me that way? Why is that person wearing a green shirt? Why is that sound over there? Why are there so few places to get this kind of instruction, this kind of guidance, to immerse ourselves in reverence of the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha? There's no answer for all of the whys of the world. Things are innumerable, and the whys accompanying them are the whiners, innumerable and immeasurable. So you have to stop. You have to stop. Or get out of the way. Don't blame the bus driver because you got on the bus. That's your problem. I don't have a choice. I have to be with this enlightenment guy all the time. You have a choice. I have to be with him all the time. My favorite Nirvana song is Stop Believing. It bothers you because you have that in yourself. We only know what we have in ourselves. We only understand and can receive the language that we have within ourselves. When we learn through our practice that we can face and transform and transcend that negativity actively, moment by moment, then we have compassion for those people. We have compassion for that experience rather than judgment about it. This is a revolution. This is a revolution of the mind. This is a revolutionary group. This is a revolutionary organization. The Buddha is a revolutionary teacher. But it's much easier to hold and to host and to sustain a revolution within yourself. And the the amount of revolution that you can bring to the world, what do you think it depends on? It depends on the degree of revolution that you can cultivate, can hold, can embody within yourself. You're not the same old person anymore. You're not in the same old identity anymore. You're not in the same old situation anymore. This is a new world. This is a new world order. I'm here to start a new world order of mindfulness and detachment within, moments by moments, breaths by breaths. This is the danger zone. This is the autonomous zone in Taipei. I've established an autonomous zone in Taipei within myself. So there's no need to fight with anyone. Yes, 100%, we do have to take care of our basic needs. We have to have a place to rest. We have to have access to medicines. We have to have access to shelter and nourishment for the heart, for the body and the mind. Some kind of wholesome nourishment. But other than that, establish an autonomous zone within yourself. That's not about what other people do or what other people think or what other people say, because within this autonomous zone, compassion is law. Mindfulness and detachment is law. No self is law. Impermanence is law. The unworthiness of grasping an attachment and becoming afflicted with negative emotions is law. And, Buddhism is basically just a container for that, a context for that. To become embodied and to fruit. All right, we're going to do the first Monk Life giveaway here in Taiwan. So I'm not going to tell you what's being given away yet, but I can tell you it's very valuable and it's very useful, okay? So heads or tails, everybody. We're doing the big giveaway, all right? Heads or tails. Terms and conditions do apply. Heads or tails. We got a real coin right here. Heads, tails. Monk Life Meditation giveaway right here in Taiwan. Heads or tails. All right? Heads or that's not a flip. Heads or tails, everybody. Heads or tails. And another aspect of the giveaway is that you have to leave a like. You have to like and make sure you're subscribed. And we're going to do this giveaway. Then you're going to find out what you won or lost. Here we go. Heads or tails, everybody. Release identification with past moments. Release identification with past sounds, past sights, past concepts, past thoughts. Widen out the mind. The head of the snake and the tail of the ox both meet in the middle of your mind. Find your breathing where it already is. Don't practice the meditation as an act of control or focus or tightness or struggle. Allow your mind, allow your awareness, allow your presence, allow you to find the breathing where it already is. Breathe the breathing that is already. This suffering, this unpleasantness, this pain, mental pain or physical pain, means we're experiencing something we don't like, we don't want. That is not to be controlled. It's not to be changed. It's to be endured. The enduring of the pain, the enduring of the not liking, is what allows the transformation to take place. Because this endurance facilitates disidentification. Disidentification with the reactivity that is feeding that thought, that feeling of suffering related to the pain. Disidentify, and we're blessed. We're lucky. Because this center, this source, this breeze is the breeze of universal truth. This world, this life, this body and mind have nothing to do with you. All you need to do is breathe. All you need to do is breathe and be the observer of what's happening rather than the person or identity that has something to do with what's happening. The ways to improve memory cost extra, Amadeus. I really am the last person to ask about memory. There's no such thing as Zen Buddhism. There's no such thing as a cappuccino unless you're drinking one. So if you want to feel something about Zen Buddhism, or you want to have an experience of a cappuccino, you better go and get one. Zen Buddhism is a lot like this this tree. This tree is a great Zen teacher. But if you have any specific questions about Zen Buddhism, then you can ask them. Master Songwall said, hundreds of years ago, Pai Chang held the transforming ceremony for the deceased. Master Pai Chang always recommended that the following poem be recited for the deceased. Divine light shines of itself, far away from dust and its origin. Whole essence manifests by itself, without depending upon any utterance. The true self-nature has no affection. 'Tis originally complete and fulfilled in itself. Merely depart from delusory karmic context. 'Tis the Buddha as it is. Master Songwall continued, this word Buddha itself is filthy and affected. What word would be most superior as a substitute for Buddha? Some of the Zen masters of the past called Buddha a dried shit stick. So that's probably a better word. Let's hear this poem again. Divine light shines of itself, far away from dust and its origin. Whole essence manifests by itself, without depending upon any utterance. The true self-nature has no affection. 'Tis originally complete and fulfilled in itself. Merely depart from delusory karmic context. So this is the essential teaching that we're working with here, friends. Departing from delusory karmic context. 'Tis the Buddha as it is. So when you look at your understanding or your experience, what degree of capacity do you feel that you have to depart from delusory karmic context? Any answers about that? What is an example, per se, of departing from this delusory karmic context? That's okay, but it's not as good as this. "'Tis the Buddha as it is. The plant leans neither left nor right. For the plant, there is neither duality nor a lack of duality. For a plant, there is neither duality nor non-duality." So that is the Buddha as it is, a tree leaning left. The beauty of no direction. The affection of no affection. Okay, Reed says, "Thank you, Bhante. Some practitioners say everything becomes empty when meditating. Others say they become one. Therefore, some report complete identity." This is just the same as going to the toilet and not knowing that the toilet paper is to be flushed. You understand? So flush your toilet paper. It doesn't matter what's on the paper, just flush it. And if we can compost it, even better. Okay, so we're coming up on the hour mark. Final questions, comments, insults, compliments from our faithful community here. We're going to get packed up and we're going to get out of here. A student came to the great venerable Chan Master Fa Yen and asked, how do you do that SK? Asked. You know, I had to go to speech therapy when I was a baby boy because, you know, my name is Robert when I was born, but I couldn't say that. I would say Wobbert, you know, or Wabbit. So they gave me the sticky frogs, like rubber sticky frogs, after each retraining session for my dialect. I say let people speak the way they want to speak. Okay, a student came to the great venerable Chan Master Fa Yen and asked, how should I understand sound and color? Because there's many different sounds and colors. They can confuse us. They can inspire us. They can beat us down. So this is the great Zen master. How should I understand sound and color? Venerable Master Fa Yen said, "Hear, good monk. Why don't you introspect upon yourself? Who is asking now?" You hear it? How should I understand sound and color? Hear, good monk. Why don't you introspect upon yourself? Who is asking now? Later, Chan Master Jasu sang a gatha for this. Sound and color are merely two words. The monk didn't realize those sands in his eyes. Playing the jade flute in the yellow crane gazebo, in the town near the river, the plum blossoms falling in May. How should you understand sound and color? Jade flute? What kind Kind of jade flute? Plum blossom? What kind of plum blossom? So dear friends, that's the end of our live stream here today. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Share this video with your grandma, your relatives, everybody who's interested in the path of enlightenment. I'm your local YouTube enlightenment guy, and I'll see you again soon. Happiness and blessings, and good luck on your path.